So you know when you have an idea, the emoji or whatever has a light bulb above your head. This is what you get when you have a big idea.
We're Norelle and Danny. We sold our business in Seattle and decided to become digital nomads. Outfitted with a suboverlander as our home on wheels, we're on an adventure of discovery wherever the road takes us. Subscribe and join our journey meeting new people, seeing amazing things, and helping build new ventures and opportunities.
As we were driving back into Fort Myers, we passed a bunch of, not a bunch, probably about 2 or 3 miles worth of orange groves, and it reminded me that when we were up in Orlando helping Norelle's uncle harvest the tangerine tree in his yard, he and Norelle's cousin were telling us that the orange industry in Florida is suffering quite a bit. So we pulled up the podcast and listened to what's going on. It seems to be kind of a perfect storm of bad things. The first of which kind of began with Hurricane Irma, which a lot of the processing plants decided to switch over to foreign growers instead of the local ones.
They weren't sure how quickly they could recover.
Yeah.
And they wanted to make sure they could meet demand. And so they brought a lot in, mostly from Brazil.
Yeah. And some from Mexico as well, but they signed long-term contracts with them, which meant when the Florida crops were able to recover this last spring, a lot of them weren't actually able to sell to U.S. processors. And on top of that, there also is that Chinese disease that is nicknamed the greening, which we kind of saw a little bit on your uncle's tangerines as well. And the cost that it incurs on the growers in order to prevent that increased about from $700 an acre to maintain orange groves to $2,000 an acre, and that's just with water and fertilizer and everything else. So that's pricing a lot of them completely out of the market. And then on top of that, over the past 10 years, consumers have just kind of shifted gears. Damn us millennials, we're drinking too much kombucha or whatever. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, there's more choices, basically, and people are not choosing orange juice.
So demand is down, and then on top of that, the money that they have in order to market the orange industry comes directly out of a tax that people can no longer afford. So it's those 4 reasons: is there's not enough awareness going out there about the benefits of orange juice, demand is down, there's disease, and then there's foreign contracts. And no amount of tariffs can fix that. But it sounds like from the podcast we were listening to, which was kind of the leaders in the Florida orange industry, they are trying to be optimistic, and they said it's a $7 billion industry, and they think they could get it back up to being a $10 billion industry. But it's at the end of the day, it's a 100-year piece of the Florida economy they don't think is ever going away. They just have to adjust for the changing times. But for the near future, I would kind of start to expect to stop associating Florida as much with oranges necessarily in the agricultural business. But I think I'm going to be more conscious from now on about ordering a glass of orange juice every now and then when I'm thinking about my options. Just because the residual effect in the Florida economy is pretty big. All these farmers are, their families and their lifestyles are all dependent on this industry, and it's a great way to support them. All that being said, I do like all kinds of other juices as well. So I don't know, I think the diversity in swing is good. It sounds like the federal government put out a grant to allow farmers to start experimenting with other kinds of crops, whatever they want, and they're giving them enough to make a profit on that experimentation as well. So
to face his old team, and Steelers players say they will have a warm welcome for Bell despite everything that happened.
Okay, we're in the Edison Ford estate, and that's one of the buildings right there. It comes with an app, which we downloaded, and it's basically like an audio tour, and we're not really big fans of audio tours. So we're going to do our classic self-guided tour, and we are going to go all the way to the end and take a look at whatever interests us, read all the signs, overhear whatever the experts have to say, talk with whoever is available, and just enjoy it in our own way. Okay, one of the signs we did read so far said that he bought this within, you said, a day?
24 hours.
After
13 acres.
Yeah, he just showed up in Fort Myers. He's like, sweet place. I think I want to live here when I'm not in New York. I'll take it. And yeah, just signed the deed and it was his. Not totally sure how Ford ended up here, but they got statues of him right there. Oh, so they were next door neighbors. He had a small house compared to Edison, but he also didn't have a...
We're now in the Ford estate.
Oh, okay, so it's two separate estates, the Ford and the Edison. Another time we're gonna read it. So you know how when you and your best friend are like, we're gonna do everything together, we're gonna get vacation homes together, we're gonna like live together, grow old together, sitting on a porch and, you know, rocking our rocking chairs together.
This is even better. So the guy who used to live here after Edison bought the estate next door, in 1916, the guy wrote to Ford saying, I would rather have you buy it. And in this I express the sentiment of the people of Fort Myers. We're all proud to have Mr. Edison spend his winters here, and it would be just as proud to have Henry Ford spend his winters here as well.
So there you have it. Ford's house, Edison's house, two greatest minds at the end of the 19th century, early 20th century, just hanging out on the rocking chairs in the winter.
Oh, it's like Tesla too. Before 1917, the Ford Motor Company did not have a truck. People would have to buy a Model T and build or pay someone to build a cab.
So it's like truckload. Like I mentioned earlier, there is supposed to be quite the storm coming in later today. I just heard the lady in the gift shop on the phone. She was telling a delivery person they need stuff by 4 o'clock because they're gonna be closing early because of expected heavy rain. So Edison and Ford had quite the green thumb, I suppose. Both of them had big gardens, and Ford here had his own citrus groves, which are still going. And yeah, like I was talking earlier, the citrus industry is kind of suffering right now, so hopefully whatever inventions their predecessor made here are still gonna benefit the industry somehow, some way in the future. What was that?
I don't know. So the citrus trees are currently covered because they're young and they're trying to prevent against Huanglong being the greening disease. And apparently they're covered for 2 years, and after that point they're kind of past the point of being infected by the insects that cause the disease. So this is like the organic, like safe way for them to prevent against that greening disease.
I don't know, sounds expensive to me. There's Eddie's house. And here's Henry's house. So when I say Eddie, I mean Eddie's son, Thomas. Looks like we can't go in because it's all set up, but they've got little windows and tops are open so we can look in, and it's all set up for Christmas. Christmas dinner ready to go. When I say Eddie's son, I mean him more like Daniel's son, and not really like Thomason, like a last name or whatever. I thought it was funny. Come on, guys. So apparently Ford, like Tesla, used to actually work for Edison. I guess what happens when you run out of favor with your bosses is it takes another 100 years for your car company to take off. I know Tesla is just named after Tesla. It's not actually his company. Thanks, Elon. You're doing a good job. Also, your truck looks stupid. So I know this video is going to come out long after Christmas. I'm sure it's not normally decorated like this, but just so you guys know, it's the 22nd. Where'd you find it?
Oh, just there. So there's a something written by Madeline Edison, the only daughter of Thomas Edison and Nina Edison. Before her marriage in 1914, she wrote a rules for guests at Seminole Lodge here, and it's quite funny.
And
should I read it or
just highlights?
Don't kill the black snakes under the porch. They're there for a purpose. If you don't think Seminole Lodge is the best place you ever wore rubbers in, don't let Father know. Don't fail to retire to your room during some part of every day so that the family can squabble in peace. And don't stop Madeline if you see her start violently anywhere alone. She's trying to work out her disposition. And don't capsize in a sailboat if you can help it. Remember, there isn't any man to rescue you for 750 miles, and besides, there are sharks.
It's good to know about the sharks because we're going out on a canoe tomorrow. I think it's shallow waters, but maybe that makes it worse. Apparently Ford was the one who was really big on these palm trees and made it a thing in Fort Myers to plant as many of these guys as you possibly can. It's a good touch. So you know when you have an idea, the emoji or whatever has a light bulb above your head. This is what you get when you have a big idea.
Just thank you for your service. Hope you have a good holiday season despite being far from home. And we're very grateful. Love, Norelle and Danny.
Merry Christmas. He's got his own swimming pool. Okay, Edison's place is way cooler than Ford's.
Yes.
He's got the low dive, he's got the high dive, he's got a changing room. Yeah, Henry, Mr. Ford, just has a little shack compared to Edison here. So this river here, I think it's pronounced Kalasachi River, drains out from Lake Okeechobee, where we spent the better part of a little over a week. And I'm still gonna go with calling Okeechobee Lake Obi-Wan Kenobi, because it sounds similar and it's easy to remember. Yeah, that storm's definitely coming behind us. I can feel it. Hey Mom, just wanted to point something out. This here is Henry Ford, and he knows the ripped jeans are cool too. So, just FYI. So we're back passing the banyan tree again. You wanna go in here? Oh, I thought we were almost done. Guess not. One sec. Oh my God, guys, we almost forgot the lab. It's all behind a fence, but we've got this entire laboratory all set up right here. Right, so that was the Edison Ford estate. And I gotta be honest, I didn't really know that they were buddies and hung out all that much. Apparently they even went on a road trip. So, cool.
You guessed it, a Model T.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we are gonna find a campsite near
and go back to our Chevy.
Right, yeah. Wait, who owns Chevy? Does Ford own Chevy?
No, it does not.
No? Okay. Yeah. Anyway, we're going back to our road trip vehicle and gonna figure out how and when we're gonna get to our campsite. And the other big thing to do today is really just editing videos. So that way you guys can appreciate some of them. That's all for now. So Norelle wanted me to film this one because she thought I would have something come to mind. But there's really no words. Come on, Fort Myers.
So spent a little bit of time. Danny got some video stuff done, and I got some work done. And now we are heading to Grecian State Park, which is like kind of southwest Florida, just north of the Everglades. And we're planning on going out to Mound Key tomorrow. Yeah, so looking for this state park has like a historical area, which is kind of cool. And then after visiting the Edison Ford Museum today, we got some good sights in, I think. And now heading into our campsite with, it looks like the rain's gonna be right on our tails as we're setting up. It's a tent only site, so we need to set up our tent, which we'll be sleeping in tonight in the rain. Yeah, probably kind of settle in a little bit because we're going to be here for tonight and tomorrow night, so kind of setting up camp a little bit more than we usually do. Yeah, but all good. And as we're on the road, Danny and I were just talking about how like we're so behind on filming lately, and a lot of that's to do with like both of us having a lot of work to do, which is great. Like it's good to be busy on the road, but like in tandem with like having so much to do and not having a lot of access to Wi-Fi, it's kind of like when we get to a spot, like we need to hunker down and get the work done, and then it's dark, and then we want to just veg and watch YouTube videos and chill. And plus, like we've both not been like feeling awesome. It's been rainy and gray, as opposed to sunny in Florida. Excuse me. And yeah, so it hasn't been like the best, mood space to get editing done, but we are wanting to get more on top of that, and probably will in the next few days. And in addition, like we've got some cool stuff that coming up, like with seeing Mound Key tomorrow and seeing the Edison Ford Museum and Estates today. So it's like it's looking on the ups, and it's Christmas week, and we're excited about that. But it's also weird because like this is our first Christmas away from family, like at all. So that'll just feel different, and it's kind of sad, and we're missing everybody. But at the same time, like it's good to be on this adventure together and trying new things and doing different things. Also had like a good breakfast this morning at a total local spot that was like under renovation. So we were sitting there talking with the proprietors, Steve B, Scott B, something like that.
I think it was Steve something.
In Fort Myers here, and just hanging out and eating and drinking coffee and hearing from them about like where they recommend we go and talking about the places that we've been. So just good experiences all around, but looking for a little bit more positivity in the next little phase of our journey and doing what we can to make that happen.
Apparently, the guy who was on the board with the 7 women leaders, he was kind of the main dude, and he was absolutely insane. He thought he was the second coming of Christ. He wanted to create this to be a city of 10 million people. He thought him and his people would be immortal, and he believed in weird things like the hollow earth theory. Yeah, he's a bit kooky.